Okay, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Thank you very much for joining. I know it's the end of almost the end of your semester. I think it's 12th week. So yeah, you guys are very busy with your projects and other assignments and finals. So I will not take up much time. The reason for this class is I think for the last three classes or last two classes were video recording. So I have to take some face-to-face classes to for the attendance count, and that's a rule of the department that I have to take more face-to-face class. So that's why I'm doing the class face-to-face today, but I'll try to make it as short as possible so that you guys can do whatever you have to do. So the main reason or the main focus of our class is first, I want to give you some hints about what's gonna be on your lab test, and second, I'm gonna show you how to use scenes. As Madam mentioned, many of you guys are using different tools than Adobe Animate. So if you're not using Adobe Animate, yeah, this scene technique might not, might not be applicable, or the whole technique might be different in whatever apps you're using. So yeah, that's why feel free to, stay till the end of the class. So if you're using Adobe Animate, or else it's up to you if you want to learn the technique. Okay, so for the lab test, it's gonna be 2 hours, and you will have one question, and you have to animate the instructions. So the better you animate, the more marks will be there. Madam didn't draft the question yet. She was supposed to show me the question, but I think what she told me today that she hasn't finalized on the question yet, but the techniques that are going to be useful, or the techniques that are will going to be the main focus of this lab test, are first lip sync, okay, second buttons, third sound. Okay, so uses of lip syncs, button and sound. So you should practice or these three techniques, or you should just keep the materials on how to do these three things nearby when you're doing the animation, so that you can do it in a faster way, so that you can focus more on the content rather on learning the techniques. Okay, I'll write it down on the chat as well. So it will be lip sync, use of buttons, and lastly sound. So how to use sound, I have showed you how to use buttons in Adobe Animate in, I think, tutorial 2 or 3, when we made the play, pause, resume game. And lip sync, I have shared a link. There are lots of content on how to use lip sync on Adobe Animate. So I have gone through some of them, and the one I found the easier, so I shared that link with Madam. I think she will share it with you. I'll also try to share it in the Teams as well, that link. So that's not my recording, that's from the YouTube. That's the one I found easier to understand. That's on lip sync. And on the sound, how to use sound, I still have to record the how to use sound. So I'll try to record it by today or tomorrow, and give the link on how to use the sound on Adobe Animate. Or anyway, you can always refer to YouTube for better instructions, maybe shorter instructions on how to use sound. But yeah, I'll share that with you. So keep in mind these three techniques before, and practice them before your lab test, so that in 2 hours you can easily do it. You don't have to think about the techniques, rather you just think about how to make the content better. So today's class will be about how to use scenes. Why we need scenes? First of all, what is scenes? So okay, let's just share the screen. Okay, into screen share. Okay, so let's just go ahead and open a new file. Okay, so when you're doing your project, so here's one more thing I would like to mention. When you're doing your project, if you want your project to look nice, okay, so go for frame rate 30. Okay, but if you have, like, if you want to cut corners, you can reduce the amount of frame from here. So if you give 25, so from 25 to 30, the difference is relatively less. but 30 is standard, 29 point something is standard, so 30 is standard. So if you go less, then it will take you less time to animate, but the animation will shutter a bit, it will not look too smooth. So I would suggest that you go for 30, but it's just a shortcut way if you have like you're doing on the last night or something. Wait, I just hit create. So maybe you're doing on the last minute, so you have less time. So this is one of the shortcuts. You can use less frames to make the animation faster. But here I'm using 30 seconds. So yeah, let's go ahead and go with scenes. Okay. So this one, I just close this scene because I already have it. So usually when you have animate, okay, give me a moment. Usually when you open or use animate, this is 2022 or 2021 is also same. So you will have asset, properties, color, align, and library. You will not have scenes here. Okay, and then you have your artboard and your timeline, your layers, and you animate everything here. But why is scene important? Because when you're doing a group project, you have 3 to 4 members in your group, right? So all of them will animate on their own PC or their own laptop. Then after they completed their part, they will send to someone to compile. So when you want to compile, there are 2 ways to compile. One is adding all of them in one FLA file or one animate file and then export the FLA file. So that's the actual way of doing it. But instead you can export each one of those project file and then use a video editing tool to add them together and create a MP4 file. So I'm going to show you how to do that in one file instead of using another software like a video editing software. Okay, so we go ahead and go to Windows. Okay, under Windows there is the option called Scene, which you can use the hotkey Shift plus F2 or just hit Scene. So when you hit Scene, it will usually come up like this, loose like this. So you can drag this to your right hand and put it on this part so that it stays there. Okay, under the scene, I'll just unpin this one. So under the scene you can see there are 3 different things: add scene, then there's the duplicate scene, and there's one called delete scene. So what this does is, first of all, add scene. So it's gonna add a different scene, so scene 1 and scene 2. Then there's a thing called duplicate scene. Okay, let's just go and finish with one by one. Add scene. So in scene 1, let's say for here example, in scene 1 you have your animation, your part of the group project, and then your friend has let's say just copy some from here. Okay, this is your friend's part. Okay, this is a different FLA file. As you can see, this one is Untitled 2 and this is 1. Okay, so this is your friend's file and you want to have this in the final file that you're compiling with all the scenes. Okay, so you just go ahead to scene 2. Okay, you can double click and rename it to your friend's name. Let's say this is Ikram. Okay, and this is Kais. Okay, so you go to Ikram's one, and then from his file you select, hold Control to select, you select all the layers. Okay, you hit right click and say copy layers. Okay, then go to Ikram's scene, right click and paste layers. So as you can see, this is the default layer. You just delete this one. So as you can see, the scene is imported to the final file that you're compiling. So in this is your scene, your project, and the second scene, this is your friend's project. So how is this useful? When you're doing your final project, each of the scenes will have a lot of layers. Okay, so for example here, okay, let's see the scenes. Okay, so as you can see, each scene has a lot of layers. Okay, so if you try to do all the scenes in one scene, or all the full animation in one scene, it's gonna be very hard to actually monitor or actually render the whole thing. And if there's some kind of error, to find out where that error is, it's gonna be very difficult to manage as well, because it's gonna be, you have to be like this. You cannot even see your artboard. The layers will be until the end. Okay, so that's why we're gonna use scenes. So here we add scene. We use the first option, which is called add scene. So now the next is duplicate scene. Let's say you have an animated scene like this. Okay, so this animation is using camera, so I have the video uploaded for this one. Maybe after this you can watch the camera use with this file. So we have this file already. So what duplicate scene does is, when you select this scene and hit duplicate, it creates a copy of this scene. So this scene is the exact copy of the previous scene. So how is this useful? Let's say you have a scene, but you just want a slight modification of that scene in the next scene. Let's say you have three characters in the Ikram scene, and in the next scene, which is Ikram copy, you want two characters. You want one of them to walk away, and the rest of the characters or the background, everything will stay the same. So that's when you use the copy, okay, or duplicate feature, and then you edit the duplicate. Let's say here I just, let's say, delete one of the shapes. Okay, so as you can see, now there's only two shapes. In this scene there are three shapes. In this scene there's two shapes only. Okay, but it's the same sequence, same techniques used, the classic twin, the camera movement, the actions, everything is same. Just I edited one of the characters or one of the shapes. Okay, so that's why we use the duplicate scene. And lastly, delete, which is, as referred its name, it just deletes the scene. So yeah, it's gonna ask for confirmation because they're deleting a scene. Okay, now how to more money, how to control the scenes. Let's say, for example, here this is one of the projects. As you can see, there's like 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, like 10 to 12 scenes. Okay, so how do we control all these scenes? So we're going to use a little bit of coding, just like we used when we did the buttons. Okay, so what you can do is, you can either write the action after each of the scenes. Okay, on the last frame you can write the action code, or you can create a main screen. Okay, it's like coding. When you do Java coding, you have different types of functions. Okay, and in the main function you call those functions, right? So here also you can do, in the main scene you just call one by one. You just call one by one scenes. So whichever scenes comes first. So by default it will go from main to Kayas, then Ikram. But if you do the coding, you can control, like you can say main, then fifth frame of Ikram starts playing. After finish, then it goes to first frame of Kayas, and then after Kayas finish, then it goes to first frame of Ikram. Okay, so as you can see, you can um, make it like your own, like however you want it, if you use the code. Or if you don't, it's just gonna go one by one. Okay, let's see the code. It's very simple, which is why I'm gonna show this. Okay, so the code is this one line. Okay, all you have to do is, at the end you have to add a keyframe. Okay, and there you right click, hit actions. Okay, and type this, go to and play. Then this one means the frame number. Okay, so if I write 5, it's gonna go to that scene and play from the fifth frame from here. If I write 15, it's gonna play from 15. If I write 25, it's gonna play from 25. Okay, and then this one is the name of the scene. So for this I have to name it. If I want it to be to go to Kais, I have to write Kais. Okay, it's like that. Okay, someone just enter. Okay, I'm gonna give this code in the chat. Okay, this is a very simple code, just one line code. Okay, so this is the code for navigating the scenes. Okay, so for example, let's say here we have this scene. Okay, at the end of this scene we go to action. It says go to and play 1, going to student mall. So this is the next scene. So we go to student mall, we go to the last frame. If we right click and check, it says stop, and then go and play 1 scene 2. Okay, so there is no scene 2. I think I renamed the scene 2. Stop is up to you. If you want to use stop or not, it's up to you. Okay, but this code is very simple. It just you just mention the number of frame where it should start playing from, and number of the name of the scene that you want to play. So that's all for the scene. So basically you go to Windows, you open scene, and you add a new scene, and you copy your friends layers to that scene, and then from the main scene you call one by one scene, or from your scene you just delete the main scene if you don't want it. You can have your own project part. Like let's say you do the part 1, you have your part 1 here, you copy your friend's part 2 here, then you add different layer, and then you put part 3 here, then part 4 here, one by one. And then you just do a keyframe, right click, actions, just paste this code. Let's just rename this to SCE. Scene 5. Okay, so you just close this. So what it's gonna do, it's gonna play from your part, then it's gonna play the scene 5, then it's gonna play the scene 6, and then in scene 5 you can say after scene 5 play Ikram, then in Ikram you can say after Ikram play scene 6. Yeah, you can play around with this with the code. Whatever frame you can specify the frame. So that's the basic of how to use scenes. Okay, and lastly I'm gonna show my project, I think. Okay, open listen. Okay, so when I was doing animation technique, we didn't have any restrictions like you cannot use stick figure. So what we did is we used stick figure. But right now I read your instruction. It says strictly no stick figure action. So yeah, you have to design a character. You can use shapes, I think. Yeah, you can use shapes, and if you are good at drawing, you can draw a character, which is good. But for me, for our group, we just stick to stick figure because at the time it was okay. So as you can see, this was my final project. Yeah, it's very basic. Okay, there are scenes, so intro, then scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. So I divide my project into 12 scenes. So intro, ended with Islamic, and yeah, like that. As you can see, there each of the scenes has a lot of layers. So yeah, it was easier to divide it into different scenes. Okay, I think, yeah, there's no use of giving you this file because the theme is different. For us it was life as a student in IIM campus during COVID-19, but for your project it's gonna be, I think, SOP, something regarding IIM SOP following or something. Okay, uh, maybe I'll share the MP4 file of my final project. You can just get an idea. And for your final project, you should use scenes. Okay, it looks very good. And also like try to use some twinning. Okay, this is manually like done one by one because at the time I was not very good with twinning. Yeah, so if you have some twinning, so it looks nice. Yeah, so if you have some twinning, it simulates the movement better. Okay, so this is manual all this, so you can use twin instead of manual. Okay, you can use motion twin for this. Okay, that's all for scene. Okay, so those of you who joined late, okay, so today I showed scene, but yeah, as I mentioned, a lot of you are using different apps, so it's not gonna be that useful. So I'm gonna share the attendance link one more time. Okay, and those of you joined late, so what we discussed is for our lab test I mentioned 3 different techniques, and I want you guys to really collect materials on these 3 topics, and practice before you attempt the lab test. Practice these 3 techniques so that you can focus on your content. First is lip sync. Second is use of buttons, so you can use buttons to turn on off lip sync, turn on off sounds, turn go to frame and play. Basically you just use the go to frame and play, which is easier. Okay, and stop is go to frame and stop. And lastly is sound, like how to use sound, how to use voice or dialogues, narratives. The sound video on Adobe Animate is coming up soon, within this week or maybe tomorrow. Yeah, by tomorrow or within this week. So yeah, I'm very sorry about that. I didn't get enough time to record the sound video. I'm writing down these 3 techniques. Please focus on this three for your lab test. So that's gonna be all for today's class. I don't want to take up much of your time. I think still you guys are here for more than 20 minutes, I think. Anyhow, it's okay. So that's gonna be all for our tutorial class, and this will be our last class. Maybe inshallah we'll meet someday. I don't know. Maybe. Okay, that's gonna be all from me. There will be 3 recorded videos I already give to madam. She will share the link, and you can refer to them for your project and assignment too. And good luck for your final exam and your final project. All the best from me. If you have any questions, you can ask me, or yeah, you can leave. And please,
Brother,
yeah.
when is our lab test?
She didn't mention the date yet, but most likely it will be this week.
Right, okay.
Yeah, just be careful on that date. Okay. That's all from me. Thank you very much for joining. Please sign your attendance, and if you have no questions, you can leave. All the best.